Well, welcome. It's Tuesday morning, and that means that it's another version of Trash Talk between
Trash Talk
Stuart and
Tuesday.
Brandon. Hey,
We're-
we live for this.
Hey, you know what? Tuesdays used to be so boring.
I know,
Not anymore.
I know, and I look forward every Tuesday morning to seeing Trash Talk, and we are Trash
I
Talk.
know, me too. I'm telling you, and I've been getting a lot of good feedback out there. So, guys, as you continue to follow and like us and share us, please comment. Please give us a thumbs up or thumbs down. I don't care.
Right.
And just let us know. Reach out to us, give us some ideas, or just talk to us.
Yeah, say why don't you guys tackle this subject or that subject? There's nothing that's too bizarre for us.
No, I mean, look at this book here. I got a book.
That's right. Yeah, the book's got about 150 pages, and we've only filled about 40 of them.
Yes.
I mean, what we're hoping for is that our contract will get renewed a year from now, so that we'll have 52 in the bag, and then we'll start on the next 52.
That's right. We go into the meeting and go, look, guys, you got to sign us for a second season.
Yeah, that's right. We're gonna talk. We're gonna talk about everything from politics to Cheetos.
Yeah, we've got all kinds of ideas.
And when we talk about politics, we're going to be eating Cheetos.
Absolutely. So if you're out there, Cheetos, let's get with it.
That's right. And if we're really lucky, we could be sponsored by Cheetos.
Working our way up with some sponsorships, let me tell you.
Well, the important thing is that every Tuesday morning, 8 a.m., get yourself a nice cup of Java and sit down and sit back and relax 15, 20 minutes. You share a little bit of time with us. And then when the show is over, you can honestly sit back and say, why did I waste those 20 minutes on those two guys?
I am never doing that again, but you
Yes.
will.
I could have been sitting at Starbucks with a venti double latte, whatever, and a scone. But we are very, very quickly approaching the holiday season. We got Thanksgiving, we got Christmas coming up, we got all of the things that surround that, and we started talking a little bit about what that means is that maybe some of those lots of people that have been unemployed are going to have an opportunity to become re-employed,
Right.
whether it be on a seasonal basis, a part-time basis, or maybe if you can grab that job for the holidays, somebody says, "Hey, I like your style, and would you like to stay on full time?"
Yeah, we made it through Halloween, which was kind of the launching pad for the holidays and pulling out the end of the year. So business goes up, kids are back to school-ish. And so you've got that, you're grocery shopping more maybe. But you're right. A lot of the seasonal jobs are coming up. And we're hoping that people are out there doing interviews, as complicated as that process is.
Yeah, and I mean it could be corporations, that are rehiring, or and in some cases, let's face it, a lot of the people that they furloughed and said, "Listen, we're going to have to lay you off for the next month or two." Some of those people will say, "Okay, fine, I'll live on my savings and I'll wait for them to call me back because I really love that job." But there's a lot of others that may get that call back and they say, "I've moved on. I've relocated. I've gotten a new job, new career." So there is the need. So we started talking about, well, okay, so that means all these HR departments now are starting to ramp up, and they've got to decide how many more people that they need and who's going to fill those slots. So,
Right. That's true.
what do we as those potential employees need to do to make sure that we get noticed? Because the stack of resumes is going to be plenty deep, and what do you do to your resume to make it really connect with the
The thing
person?
is, too, with the HRs and these companies and stores and all that, they've got to kind of, I mean, they might have a stack of resumes or applications that the people they want to get back to, but they kind of are resetting at ground zero. because you're having to put it back out there, how many people you need and all that. So they're having to look through all these. And I can tell you personally, from after hiring people and going through applications, after a while, no matter how much you need somebody, the applications all look the same. You just start to see names and years of experience or inexperience. So you got to do something to make it pop. And
Yep.
the process is not easy. It's not an easy process. It's actually an annoying process.
I know. Yeah. And I would think that probably one of the worst jobs in the world would be to be that HR person that's got to go through a stack of resumes, just trying to look for that little spark on that piece of paper that says, hey, this is the person that I want to call in and talk with in person. Because everything that so far was done probably through the computer. They filled out an application and sent it in, and it's sitting in a stack with others. Or if I'm that HR guy, I come to work and everything, and all of a sudden I go to my inbox and there's another 150 applications that I got to go through. And
yeah, it's true.
And then what is that HR person looking for?
Right.
Are they looking for the person that if let's say this is an insurance company, and do they go through and look for people that specifically have an insurance background? Because if a guy lists on there that he's had 20 years of experience as an auto mechanic, they're going to say, wait a minute, I'm not so sure this person is, even qualified to consider for a job as an insurance agent or an insurance adjuster, whatever. So, are they going to look for somebody that has those years of experience? And does that work for or against them? Because if the guy's got 20 years of experience in that business, he's may not going to accept the offer that you're going to give him, because you're not necessarily going to give him top dollar.
No, and the other thing too is, when you've got two schools here with that process. So you've got the level of like, hey, this guy's got 20 years of experience, which is great in some aspects because he knows the insurance game, even though things change daily. But we can't offer him that much money right off the bat. Number two, is he going to come over with some bad habits or just habits in general that he might not want to break because he's been doing it this way for 20 years? But we do it different. So sometimes taking a gamble on a new guy with, getting him in for the interview or girl, person, get him in for the interview and talking to them, you can kind of see if there's a spark where maybe they can be trainable. Maybe they possess some qualities that you like, but that's just getting them in for the interview. And one thing I've realized is, as somebody who has applied for jobs, it's really frustrating because you're applying for a job online, you're filling out the application. It takes a long time. There's a survey, there's questions, application. Then you get called into the interview and you have to fill it out all over again. The same thing all over again. And then you interview with somebody and they're not the person that's hiring you. So,
and you sit down in the waiting room with 40 or 50 other people that are going through that same process too. You mentioned earlier, if you're an HR person and you see somebody that's had 20 years experience in the workforce and it's been 20 years at one location, are you more apt to say that person might be the one I want to talk to, or the person that in 20 years has been employed by 20 different people for a year?
Well, yeah, you're right. There's a part of me that says it shows dedication if they've been at one place for 20 years. And I'm curious as to why they're not there anymore. I want to find out, is it just because something happened, COVID happened, or the company went out of business?
Exactly.
I've had an issue because I've been in the service industry. And one of the biggest things in the service industry is there's a lot of rotation with servers, bartenders, managers. There just is. It's not always their fault, though. A lot of times, though, you've got restaurants that are around for 3-4 years, they go out of business. They change owners. Typically, if they change owners, they like to bring in their own managers. So on my resume, I've seen places 3-4 years, 2 years, but there's a couple of them that have only been a year. It's actually worked against me at times. So You
Yeah,
want to
because
get,
especially if you're not going to be offering top dollar to the applicant, you wonder, are we going to spend a significant amount of time training them to do the job, and then they're just going to bounce after a year or so and go elsewhere?
it's tough, but I think the one thing right now, at least as the holidays approaches, most of these stores, I would assume, are just going to be hiring a lot more because of the longer hours, the extra buying. But then again, maybe they're not, because maybe people are going to just start buying online more. I don't know.
Well, we've seen a trend over the years that online buying has surpassed in store buying.
I agree. Yes.
There's an old phrase or something. Um, brick and mortar is now pick and order.
Yes.
Uh, so it is, people are going to do that. However, my thought process is that if you do go in, and let's say you're not experienced as a cashier or a sales clerk, but you go in and you get that second or third interview and they say, well, we'd like to try you out. If you go in there and you give it 100% and you get yourself into the zone, somebody's going to be watching you, and they're going to say, by the end of the holiday season, we don't want to lose that employee. So now let's call them in and make them an assistant manager, give them a little bit of a raise, and delete the weaker links and keep the people that have. And it could be that guy that's now a top-notch salesman in a department store came from 20 years of being an auto mechanic, and he says, I'm through, crawling under cars and everything. I really kind of like coming to work dressed clean. That may be the exception, not the rule.
I think it happens a lot more nowadays because, again, of this past year and people having to change careers. I mean, I've had to change things that I've done because of things that have gone on in 2020 with COVID and being, have restaurants and bars closed and stuff like that. So I think it's an opportunity for a lot of people to get out there and really try to do something if you're willing to be creative. And the one thing you have to do is stand out. You got to stand out in that paper. You got to change the font a little. You know what I do under skills? I throw some jokes in there. I actually put in there where it'll say, skills, and I'll put, proficient in Excel, blah, blah, blah. And then on one of them, I said, I've got the moves like Jagger. And that's on my resume. And I've had 3 people comment and say, I brought you in because I want to see you do the moves like Jagger. And I mean,
I always figured if you put a line in there or something that shows that for a short while you were a NASA astronaut.
yeah.
Somebody's going to say, oh, I was an astronaut and everything. I want to talk to him because I'd like to find out more about that. Now, my daughter has gone through the process of interviewing with major corporations in her careers and all. And when they have been asked to apply online and send your resume in, what does that mean? At the receiving end, they're going to print out those resumes that come in online on plain white paper. My daughter has always said, look, that ain't for me. I'm going to go hand deliver my resume. It's going to end up in that same stack with everybody that sent them in by email and all. But mine is on like a grayish parchment type of a paper.
Right. Yeah.
And all. And so when that gets in that stack and that HR person is looking at that stack they got to go through, who do you think they're going to kind of be drawn to? They want to kind of wonder, why out of all these pieces of white paper, there's one that's a little bit tan or a little bit gray. Let's see what this one's all about.
Absolutely.
So, I think that's kind of a little bit of an edge that somebody can do. And plus, when you walk in, you may not meet that HR person, but you make an impression on the person that was at the front desk and say, any questions, and I'll please have them call me. And thank you very, very much for taking my application. You
got to make an impression. You got to stand out, in a good way, obviously. And the biggest thing is to show your uniqueness and your creativity without going overboard, of course.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of roadblocks out there when you're competing with hundreds and thousands of people, And one of the frustrating things from somebody who's trying to get a job is when they tell you, well, you're just not what we're looking for. And they don't give you an answer. They don't tell you what they were looking for. They just say you're not it. The best thing I can say to that is just move on. Don't even let it bother you. Just keep moving.
That's
there's
right.
Something out there, I've had it happen to me. I've literally happened when this was going on, and I was like, okay, yes, I was on unemployment, but I'm a guy that likes to work. I can't just sit around, And I started applying at places just to do something. And there was a particular grocery store. I had 3 separate interviews for 3 separate jobs, and all of them told me they were looking for somebody with more experience.
Yeah.
I sat there and I'm like, I've been grocery shopping since I was like 18 years old. Okay. How hard is this?
Yes. Yeah. Somebody with more experience at what? Putting item A into bag B?
I don't know. Like I can stock the shelf because every time I go grocery shopping, I stock my shelves at home.
Well, and I'm sure that this is a statement that most people watching this show can relate to. And that was your first job. You went in and you applied, and they said, we're looking for somebody with experience. And you say, I haven't had a job. I'm trying to get experience. How does somebody with no experience get the experience that they need? My favorite line, and I was in the retail business, and my father, I used to watch him interviewing people, and they've always said things never to say in an interview, and that one is like, "What kind of vacation time do you have? Or how long do I have to work before I get a raise? What's your break policy? How long do I get for lunch?
How many sick days?"
Yeah, my father used to say, that person that comes in and says, "I'll tell you what, give me the job for 1 week. Let me show you what I can do, and then decide if you want to keep me." Boom, you're hired. That's so that makes the impression on that HR person. Not like, I really would like to work here, but I made plans to go away next weekend for 2 weeks, and also could I start in 3 weeks instead of tomorrow when you really need somebody?
Yeah, you don't want to do those things. I've had that happen to me where I've had people go, "Man, I really want this job, but I can't start for another week." And I'm like, I need you now. Like I get things come up, but why don't you come back after next week?
Right. Or I have to feel sorry for some girl that walks in and she's like 7 months pregnant, and she wants to apply for this job. How do you very tactfully say,
That happened to me at a particular bar. She came in, very cute girl, very smart, had experience. It was everything I was looking for. I truly didn't notice that there was a little baby bump. And she told me, she's like, "Yeah, I just, I'll be good for a while till my feet start to hurt." And I'm looking at her like, "You work in the service industry." Like,
yeah,
and
like oops there.
yeah. And she told me, and I was like, I couldn't hire her. I couldn't hire her. And I couldn't tell her it was because she was pregnant, because I'll get in trouble.
Well, and in today's society, you put yourself in that position, she might come back with a discrimination lawsuit because
she'll have my job.
Passed her over because she was pregnant. Yeah.
It was rough, but it's, I hope things are turning around for people, because it's not easy out there, and they're making it even more difficult to get a job nowadays.
Yeah, and do a little bit of research, but before you do apply, if you are not qualified for the job you're applying for, maybe try to apply for something that you are a little bit more qualified for. And another tip: if you've been working at a job for many, many years and you just really don't enjoy going there every day, decide what you really want to do and pursue that. Go after that, because ultimately the employer is going to be happier with you. You're going to be happier with the job, and it's a win-win situation all the way around.
That's it. And sometimes you have to start off new. And I think a lot of people have started off new this year. You have to sometimes think outside the box and try something different and get in there. And if you're not qualified, see if there's another position in that company to learn and move your way up. I tell that to servers all the time who want to be bartenders. Look, you have zero bartending experience. Work your way up. Let's see what you got and go from there, you know?
And I'll give you another tip. If it's a small company and you're sitting there maybe with the owner or the manager or something, and they say, where do you see yourself in 5 years? A great answer is in your chair.
Yeah, that's true.
That's a plus for you. So,
You know, I got hired in, and I think I talked about this on one of my podcasts, and I definitely wrote it in the book. I got hired in at this bar as a server. I had been bartending forever, okay, and managed places. And they said, well, we're bringing you in as a server. I was like, great. So I took it, and no offense against servers, it wasn't my thing. And I took it, and I remember the bar manager said, you know, well, hopefully you'll be a bartender. And I looked at him and I said, well, hopefully have your job. And it was 6 months later, I got his job, and 4 months after that, I was general manager. So
yeah, and you knew how to hire people that were previously bartenders for bartending instead
absolutely.
of servers. Well,
It's tough out there. I just hope everybody makes it through, you know?
and for those of you that are out pounding the path and trying to find some work for the holidays, yeah, you'd like a long range employment. But if it's something that's interesting to you that that you might be good at and develop, and accept that short term for the holidays and everything. And we wish you the best. Wish everybody. And thanks for joining us for this session of Trash Talk. We hope we'll see you here same time, same place next week, and go out and make it a great one.
See you later.